It was always a dream to be like, I want to be on terrestrial radio, which is FM radio dial.
How did your organization come about?
The Pretty Lou Foundation is a nonprofit that we started during the times that I was fighting leukemia. In this industry, you're working so much, you're doing so much that you forget about your health. Throughout my fight, I never thought about me.
Did you really get to see who's who? Was that an eye-opener for you?
Oh, hell yeah.
You were shocked, right?
Super shocked, even to this day.
How long ago was that?
Ooh, maybe about 10, 15 years ago.
What was your mindset once you got the diagnosis?
I went blank. As you see, it still chokes me up.
Yeah. Demon Lo Que, you already know what it is. Podcast Central. Coastal Chronicles NYC. I'm your boy, Tank Sinatra, a.k.a. Taino Domingo. You know the lingo. Call me anything but late for dinner because I love to eat and I really could care less. But listen, man, as always, I got the activation king to the left of me, my brother. Dren Star, talk to the people, man.
What's going on, man? We back at it. Duce Lounge, big activations. You know what I'm saying? We got this Duce Friday thing going on. And shout out to our sponsors all the time. Big Duce, of course, Paper Planes, Rock Nation. It's a family. It's a family affair, you know what I'm saying? We got another dope guest. All our guests is motherfucking invite only. I'm going to say it and I'm going to keep saying it. Don't hit me up for this until I reach out to you. If I don't reach out to you, that means you got to keep banging. You heard? That's what's going on over here.
Listen, Corporate Dren has spoken. Please do me a favor. My DMs is not, if you want to get on the show, invite only. With that being said, like you said, we got a dope one.
Yeah, we're going to get right into it.
To the both of us, so let's get into it. You know, there's some people who don't just work in the culture, they are the culture. And we'll be talking about consistency, hustle, and real love for the people. This man's name rings bells all over New York City. For years, he's owned the night, lining up the clubs, hyping crowds, and making sure every mic he touches turns gold. He rode with the city biggest radio kings, from Power 105's DJ Pro Style to Hot 97 heavy-headed DJ Enough, and built a brand that holds weight, not just in the nightlife, but in life period. He's the founder of Street Loyalty Entertainment, partnered with Fat Joe and the legendary Terror Squad, building a movement that represents both the streets and the stage. He's graced platforms like SiriusXM airwaves and turned his night show into a full-on experience, complete with national hit countdowns and a spotlight for unsigned artists that most shows overlook. What sets his name apart is just not the parties or the playlists, it's his loyalty, his grind, and his heart. From giving new talent a real shot on the mic to standing in the trenches for the people who needs a hands up and not just hand out. This man gets back in a way that's rare in this business. He became a full-time philanthropist, dedicating his time to charities and staying grounded in the community, even while standing tall in the spotlight. He's built a movement. He fought battles most wouldn't survive. Diagnosed with aplastic anemia and later leukemia, he faced it head on, enduring chemo and still standing strong, smiling and motivating thousands with his mantra, I will beat this and Pretty Lou will not lose. And through it all, he never stopped showing love, never stopped pushing forward, and never stopped being a symbol of hope, resilience, and real energy. And tonight, it's an honor to share space with a real one of the hottest hosts in New York City, the one and only Pretty Lou. Talk to the people, brother.
What's going on, man? Wow. I'm amazed. I'm about to give him my job and just retire. And just, like, that was just amazing, man. That was the best intro I ever heard in my life, man.
Lou, I
Thank
appreciate
you, man.
it, man.
I appreciate that, man.
Nah, man, I appreciate you, brother. Because like I said when we pulled up behind the scenes, man, I've been outside.
Right.
You are synonymous with being outside. Mm-hmm. If anybody knows what being outside is, they know you go hard. Your voice is one of the premier people in the outside that's outside of a DJ.
Thank you, man.
You understand what I'm saying, my brother?
Thank you.
I remember your fight, your still fight that you're going through right now. Mm-hmm. Like I told you, bro, I remember during COVID when you was thick in the trenches with your fight.
Thank you.
And I pull up the starlets and you over there on the stage. You understand what I'm saying, bro? I remember all that shit, my brother.
Nah, I appreciate that, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's great. it's an honor and it's great to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially with an intro like that, well, you can't say no to that, man. That's a phenomenal intro, man. Nah, but thank you. I appreciate that. One more time, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor, you know, to finally be on the other side of the microphone. You know, it's just, you know, I'm very happy to be sitting here right now.
Honestly, Lou, I'm glad that we're able to do this, bro. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people don't make it to the other side of the fight that you had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we're not even going to sugarcoat this shit. We're just going to go straight to it.
Let's do it.
I want to let the people know your upbringing and things of that nature, how it was growing up, you know what I'm saying? Family structure and things of that nature.
Well, you know, make a short story, you know, like I'm a kid from Brooklyn, New York, growing up from Park Slope, the old Park Slope. I like to say the old Park Slope. It's not the Park Slope that we know now. And
you ain't want to be outside times is what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? When there was a boundary between Red Hook, Park Slope, you know, and you had Sunset Park and everything else. You know, just a kid, you know, Ecuadorian kid growing up with a single moms who finally, you know, got married to a Cuban, you know, who I call my father, who practically raised me. And, you know, also growing up with two younger brothers and just, you know, coming up from the streets of Brooklyn and you know, just trying to survive. You know, mom's having, you know, 2-3 jobs. She was a waitress, working all day, while me and my brothers are just taking care of our own selves while she's trying to provide and pay rent. And you know, we grew up right. I mean, of course, we were in the streets. We were street kids at the end of the day. But past all that, you know, I entered the world of hip hop, and I entered the world of music, which I started to fall in love with. And you know, back in high school, that's what I was just doing. Like, you know, I was one of those guys that I used to run home before 3:30 and make sure I catch Video Music Box. You know what I'm saying? I used to have the VHS with the tapes. Covering the holes so I could put it and I could record all the videos. Right so when I ever wanted to hear the music, I could always go back to my tapes and just listen to it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I was probably also one of the first that used to go to Fulton Street, you know, go to B Street and get those mixtapes from Clue and, you know, SNS, you know, and all that. And I just wanted to be involved with it, and I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with the music. And then, you know, like any other kid growing up, we wanted to be a rapper. I thought I could be a rapper, and I tried it. You know, there was a couple of times I did like amateur shows in high school and all that, but I was never great at that. But I was always told that for a young kid myself, and back then I was just a little skinny thing, but I had a very soul, raspy, powerful voice. And I always say the story back then, they used to call me Pretty Boy Lou. It was always the Pretty Boy Lou because I was always, you know, I was always dressed right. I always had the same, I was always a sneakerhead. My feet was always right. But that was because I was always in the street. I did something. I never, at the age of 12, I never had my mother give me money after that. You know what I'm saying? I was always doing something, besides trying to get into the bad things of the street. I was always like, I would go to Pathmark around my way, and I'll be the first one standing, you know, packing up groceries and getting whatever money I could get. You know what I'm saying? And all that would go into me. I would always tell my mother, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of myself," and that's what I did. And then I, you know, coming with that Pretty Boy name, it also came with the Pretty Lou. How can I say, like, I was into girls. I was always into girls and all that. And I remember one night I was talking to some girl in high school, and we were on the phone. I had my own phone line because you already know how Hispanic mothers are. Yo, if you're on the phone too long, you gotta get on. Yo, hang up, and she'll pick up the other. She'll pick up the other phone. Yo, you know, embarrass you on the phone. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I went out and I got my own phone line. So I'm talking, you know, and I was like, all right, you know, it's time. You know, I gotta get off. You know, let me get some rest. We got school tomorrow. I'll see you in school. All right, cool. Hang up. My phone rings again, and I picked up, and it was homegirl again. I'm like, I just hung up the phone with you. Like, what's going on? Everything all right? Did you forget to tell me something? She goes, I just called to hear your voice. I'm like, you called to hear my voice? Okay. So you're hearing my voice. Like, what's so special about my voice? And she was like, it's just that sexy raspiness that you have in your voice that I just wanted to hear it one more time. So I'm right there, and then I'm like, I'm feeling like the Papi Chulo now. Like I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to go to school now. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
so
definitely him.
You know, I'm like, I did it.
Papi Chulo Lou would have not been it.
Nah, it definitely would not have been it. It definitely would have not been it. But hey, I was feeling like that that night, and but she said something that changed my life. And she was like, you ever thought about doing radio? And I was like, huh? I was like, what do you mean doing radio? She goes, yeah, you ever thought about using your voice for something, especially radio? And ever since she said that, that got stuck in my brain. Like, okay, maybe I could do something with my voice. And I went on that mission. And one time, I started giving out flyers. I was giving out flyers, right, for parties. I was giving flyers for parties, and I saw an artist that was performing that I really wanted to go see. So at the age of 16, 17 years old, I ended up going to see this artist up in the Bronx. And let me tell you, for doing that, I caught the biggest beating of my life by my moms because we used to
Park Slope going to the Bronx.
Going to the Bronx.
Wow.
That was me, and we lived on the first floor. So I was that guy that I used to put pillows in the bed to make believe like it's a body. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I would tell my brothers would wake up, and I would look at them like, yo, shut the fuck up, like don't say nothing. I'm out of here, but I'll be back. You know what I'm saying? And I would go. So I went to go see this. They snuck me in through the side, and I'm watching and I saw this guy, an MC, with a DJ, and I saw him, how he had the crowd, how he had it going. He had that crowd, crowd participation, and he had the crowd control. And ever since I saw that, I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do that. Since I love music so much, this is what I want to do. So then I started, in my neighborhood, started, trying to go into, hooky parties. I was going into house parties. I was going to little, in Park Slope, there's these two churches called St. Rocco's and St. Michael's. St. Michael's was in Sunset. St. Rocco's was in Park Slope. And they used to do like something, they used to rent out the gymnasium to do parties. And I used to always go in there. And I used to go to the DJ that actually me and him are like, we're real good friends now. And I used to go up to him and be like, yo, man, let me get on the mic. And he would, nah, little guy, get out of here. I'm like, yo, let me get on the mic. Finally, after me bothering him so much, he finally was like, yo, I'm going to give you the microphone, but if you don't do it good, man, I'm going to fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to beat your ass. But I did my thing. And ever since then, I became like that voice of the neighborhood. I was start doing neighborhood parties, local stuff. And, I started, doing that, and then I started, meeting people and all that. And then all of a sudden, years later, is when I met my good bro, Tony Sunshine. I met Tony Sunshine, and we were hanging out a lot and everything. And, he, out of left field, just gave me a job to be his assistant. Like, I never even said, yo, let me be your assistant. No, he just gave it to me. But I was smart about it, so while I was with him doing that, that's when I got to meet my brother Joe. I got to meet Fat Joe and hanging out with the Terror Squad and everything. But what I was also doing was I was also making my contacts, my connects. I was learning, meeting people, shaking hands with people, making sure I had the numbers, doing my job, doing what I was supposed to do. And it actually paid off because once I went solo, I kept that relationship with a lot of people. And then that's when I started. So let me make it be known, because I'm happy we're doing this on the podcast. before podcasts even was existed, I always say that the mother of podcasts was online radio. You know what I'm saying? And I was probably one of the first to do that. You know what I'm saying? I started off.
Where at?
My first online radio show was called Streetwide Live. We did it at DTF Radio.
Was that before 88 Hip Hop? You remember 88 Hip Hop?
I remember 88 Hip Hop.
Was that before that?
No, I think it was a little bit after.
Because I got EP here to verify.
Yeah, I got.
We was outside.
That 88 hip hop was first.
Yeah, 88. No, I know 88 Hip Hop was always first.
Yeah.
Carmelo was on. Yeah, 88 Hip Hop was first, but it wasn't like pushed.
Got it.
The way how online radio started getting pushed. Because you had DTF Radio, where I started with, and DTF. It was probably like the early.
Don't they still do that shit though? Like
I think it's done already.
Oh, word?
I think it's done already.
It was in Brooklyn, right?
It was in Brooklyn. It was in a room. Just
I remember that. Yeah.
It was in a room just like this in Williamsburg, and I had a show called Streetwide Live, and that's how we got to the faces that are out now. It came from the show, like my girl Honey German. I know you know who she is. She started off.
We had her here last week.
She started off with Streetwide Live. You know what I'm saying?
She mentioned that too on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, and now look where she's at now. She's
an icon.
Big icon at Power 105 for iHeartRadio.
Dale, mi hermana.
And I'm so proud of her for that. You know what I'm saying? And then you got CeeLo. CeeLo was our DJ, and look at CeeLo now. You know what I'm saying? And it all came out based from that online radio show. And of course, that disbanded, and all that. And then I ended up doing PNC radio. I ended up doing PNC, which was a combination of PNC radio and Urban Latino radio. So I started doing a show there, and I created a show called Front Stage Radio. And I was there for a while doing that show. I was there 5 nights a week for 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I started getting the hang. Like, I didn't go to broadcasting school. I didn't do none of that. It was just doing online radio. And honestly, I wasn't listening to not even none of the. Of course, you listen to all the hip hop radio stations and all that, but I wasn't trying to mimic them. What I was trying to learn really from, I was listening to 1010 Wins all the time. Well, people don't understand that 1010 Wins is the mothership of broadcasting because everything they do is on the clock. If you notice that if they say weather at 10:59, the weather is at 10:59. You know what I'm saying? Sports at 11:15. It was at 11:15. And I was trying to learn that.
The programming aspect of it.
Right. And master it. So whenever I did end up doing radio, that's how it was going to become. Because first of all, it sounds great. Sounds professional. And it also sounds clear and on point. You know what I'm saying? And I just fell in love with broadcasting. I fell in love with that. So combining with radio and then becoming, the MC in the clubs, it just matched and then hand in hand. But mind you, moving more forward, while I'm doing all that, I still had a 9-to-5 job. I was still working because, back then my oldest son mother got pregnant. I was only 21. And I still, regardless of what I was doing on the side, it wasn't making me money. So
the passion never pays the bills. Right. The passion never pays the bills.
Right. So I end up, I say I have no shame of it. I was a UPS driver. I was driving UPS. You know what I'm saying? I had no shame. But and here's the best part. I did 20 years with the company.
Okay.
And
you got a pension.
I did, yeah.
You got a pension.
In 5 more years. You know what I'm saying? I did 20 years with the company because I was like, and one thing that I have to give my mother, may she rest her soul, so much credit is because she always told me, regardless of how much you're working for your dream, until your dream comes true, you never leave what was paying you, was taking care of you. Absolutely. And that's what I never did. But it was a struggle. I'm not going to say it was the mostly, because I used to do UPS. I would ride a truck for almost 10, 12 hours a day and then go home, change, do a club, and then from the club, go and sleep in the parking lot of the UPS building. And that will happen almost every night for a lot of years. until finally, you know, I made my 20. But then it was like everything played out great because while I did my time, you know what I'm saying, at UPS, my career was already going up.
Taking off.
So by the time I said, all right, I'm done with driving a truck, I was already leveled on what I wanted to do. So it actually paid off. And the timing was just so great, you know what I'm saying? And then ever since then, man, I've just been doing what I've been doing. And now, you know, present time, you know, I'm still one of the reign supremes, MC in the clubs, you know, and now, you know, working at one of the biggest, you know, radio stations, because SiriusXM is now nationwide. It's now, you could hear it worldwide because, you know, everybody can hear you on the app. And it's just, you know, it's great to know how much I accomplished and being what I'm at right now.
When did you said a lot, bro. You're interviewing yourself. We don't even got to ask you questions.
That was great.
You know what's crazy?
That was amazing. That was
You
amazing.
know what's crazy? Not to cut you off real quick, bro. I just finished having that conversation with my coworker earlier.
Right.
Because I do HVAC,
Okay.
right? While we doing this. You know what I'm saying? And I told him the exact same shit that you just finished saying. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because a lot of people don't understand, like he just finished saying, your passion ain't gonna pay the bills a lot of the times. You know what I'm saying? There's sacrifices that have to be made. I've been up since 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
Came from work that pays the bills to come here and do this with my brother because this is, to me, this is my passion.
Right.
This ain't even like, you know what I'm saying, a hobby or anything like that. But that shit is so, listen, man, if you want to do something that you feel like is for you, it's a lot of sacrifices that are going to have to be made. And it's not just some shit that, it's things that you want to do. You want to tighten up them bootstraps, put your head down and keep it moving. Go ahead, sir.
All right, so you did a lot of internet radio at the time. Like, you was ahead of the game with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So how did it feel when you first got the call to be on major corporate radio? Like, when you first got that call where you got what you've been working for? Because, you know, as kids, we always, you know, do the block parties, we do the hostings, we do this. But, like, when you first got that, what was it, a call, a text, an email? Like, yo, Lou, we want you to fill in this. Like, how did that, do you remember when it was and what was it?
Of course. I got the call from my big brother, DJ Nuff.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And it was always a dream to be like, I want to be on terrestrial radio, which is FM radio dial. And that's what we worked hard for, you know, and also to be noticed and you know, you want the people to know that you could do that. So at that time, my best friend, DJ Hollywood KO, you know, he lives out in Miami now. But he was, when we were out here, we actually formed a group called the Closers. And we were killing the clubs. It's just, you know, it was like he would get his book and I'll get mine. But most of the time we were getting booked together because it was like a group. You know what I'm saying? Like, we brought back from back in the days when hip hop was coming along and it was the DJ. That's what people tend to forget.
MC.
There was always an MC with a DJ.
Shout out to Hollywood KO, because every time I walk in motherfucking Booby Trap, he goes crazy. Shout out to my brother Hollywood KO.
And ask him how he learned how to MC.
Yeah, okay.
I gotta say that, man. Ask him how he learned how to MC over there. But yeah, you know, and we had this group, and you know, this is when we just, you know, we became heavy hitters, and we got the phone call and was like, yo, why don't you guys have a radio show and come up and do the mixed weekends and everything? And just getting that, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it was one of the best phone calls I ever got, because we're actually about to work in the radio station that actually is hit. It's hip hop, man.
Yeah, it's the number one.
Not even number one. It's just a historic. It's a landmark. You know what I'm saying? It's a landmark. And being a part of that, being in front of a Hot 97 microphone is something, man. You know what I'm saying? And I treasure that, and I will always say that. You know, I will never knock Hot 97 down. Like, it was an honor and it was a pleasure to be on that radio station. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a a check in your bucket list. You know,
Especially
How's
used to
that
be
feeling, though? Like-
Especially that was used to be freestyle.
the feeling besides having my children, which is the best feeling of my life, it was great, man. It was a tap in your shoulder saying, "Yo, I did it." You know what I'm saying? I did it. The only thing about me is that I'm not the type of person that I get comfortable wherever I'm at. I want to keep going. There's more things to do. I feel like once you reach a goal, okay, what is my next goal?
Trying to get another one.
You know what I'm saying? What is my next goal after that? And then when I do that, what's my next goal? That was just me all the time. So I was happy. Don't get me wrong. I was happy. I was glad. But once I got on the mic the first time and I did it, my mind is already registering what's the next thing to do. You know?
Yo, shout out to Tony Sunshine for giving you that pull up.
Oh no, of
You know
course.
what I'm
He definitely
Yeah.
he was definitely my shortstop from the second base.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
still
I'm
cook you on the mic though. So we'll get it crazy. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna keep on?
Nah, we're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it. I let him live on his interview.
Yeah,
I let him live. Don't get cooked by a karaoke nigga.
Oh
You know what
man.
I'm saying?
Oh man.
But listen, Tony is all love. You know that. But I want to know, because you mentioned the closers, right? So how did it go from you being on Hot to you taking over the nightlife?
It was just hand in hand. It was just, it was like, working on two positions. You know what I'm saying? I was working on the radio stuff, but then again, I'm still trying to be that number one guy in the clubs. You know what I'm saying?
You out of UPS at this time?
I'm done with it.
Okay.
Now I'm trying to be number one.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Now I'm trying to be number one, and I'm trying to, all right, I don't have this 9 to 5 no more. So now I've really got to make sure that I'm getting paid and I'm making money. And that's what I did, man. I just put my focus on what I wanted to do, and I just made sure I did it.
So did you do it yourself, or did you have a booking agent? You had a
Nah,
manager?
to this day, I still do everything myself.
Dope.
To this day, I have a I had a manager one time, and she's still a great friend of mine. You know what I'm saying? She tried. It's just different when you do your own thing because, I never wanted to give somebody else my career in their hand, and then you don't know what's gonna happen to it. You know what I'm saying? I trust her, and to this day I still do. It's just I was just so independent.
So how? Because I'm getting somewhere with this. How long was that? How long ago was that?
Ooh, maybe about 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then I also have who's my business partner, my brother Bless. He also tried the managing thing too. But like I said, it was like I'm so independent. So he went from being my manager to end up being my business partner. And also, my mentor, and telling me, because thank God with him, he actually led me on the right track. Because there was times during my career that I was going left, right. It was not going straight. You know what I'm saying? I'm thankful to meet him and have him on my side to this day, and still we still have our conversations. We're the ones who form street loyalty. You know what I'm saying? It's me and him who have the street loyalty thing. You know what I'm saying? And what's great about me and him is that I'm still doing what I need to do, but on the other side, he's doing his stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's doing a lot of things. He worked with, did things for Rock Nation. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He did a lot of things in the boxing world, and now he's working with Y and them over there. Okay. You know what I'm saying? At Rough Riders. But whatever we're doing is still one tree. It's still street loyalty. You know what I'm saying?
How did that come about?
Well, we're all from the same neighborhood. He's from Park Slope too, and everything. So, we got to meet probably later on more because I'm a little bit older. But once we met up, it just became a family. And then I saw how his work strategies was going, so I just went with it, and we became Voltron and became a team, and just became successful with it. You know what I'm saying?
Break down to the people the difference in how the nightlife used to be in New York City to compare to what it is now.
Oh man, that's another show.
Do you feel? Yeah, hold on, because that question could be like a 8-hour answer.
That question could be that's part two.
Yeah, but do you feel like to chop it down? Like, do you feel nightlife is changing? Because
nightlife has changed.
Super.
Yeah,
it's already changed.
Because now, like, you know, me being on the Dulce Rock Nation side, like, you know, we do a lot of big activations.
Right.
We controlling shit right now. You know what I'm saying? So from our point of perspective, and we have meetings about this, like a lot of things are like vibe dining now. Like the club shit is
lounges
is a dub. Like the whole bottle popping thing. I mean, yeah, there's certain spots that do it, but that's not it anymore. Like, times are changing. And I'm sure you know this because
not that I notice, it's also affecting me.
Yeah. That's what
it's also affecting me, and it's also affecting my pockets.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat and say that we're doing great and everything. Nah, you know, but we expected to change because you know what, in life everything changes. You gotta roll with the punches, and you gotta be how can I say, you have to be active with everything. You gotta be on, you know, you gotta be relevant. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm 30 years old, 35 years old. Nah, man, I'm already 50 years old. You know. And me being 50 years old and still trying to be relevant for the younger generation that's coming up right now, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know, the nightlife is not what it was when we came up. Before we came up, remember, we didn't have phones. We didn't have social media. We didn't have none of that stuff.
You had to be outside.
So that's why I asked you when you was speaking about your manager, I was getting somewhere with it, because now we come from that old school era,
right?
Where you really got to know, like, you running EPs, my brother Legend. We know each other 20 plus 30 years. Like, you rarely see this type of shit,
right?
Still happening. So the fact that you walked in with him, I love to see that, because we don't leave nobody behind. But in this time and era, people could just shoot you a DM, and it cuts out the management, it cuts all that other shit out, it's direct.
And and that's why I'm kind of happy I'm still independent to do my own independent thing, because I don't have to worry about, yo, call this person, yo, call that person. Because sometimes when you tell people, yo, call this and that, and sometimes it doesn't happen, you lose out on money.
Yeah.
You lose out on all that stuff, especially now, the generation of now, you know? And I miss what it was back then. I miss it. I miss the dancing. I miss, you going. I miss you going to the bar and I grab this Douce napkin
and make a flower. Remember that?
Yes.
That's what you're gonna say.
That. But I also miss going to a bartender and say, "Can I borrow a pen? Write your number down and be." That don't happen no more.
Yo, Lil, let me tell you something. You want to hear some ill shit? So, me and him met in prison, right? So, I came home. I seen this bad little joint, right? I walked up on her. You know what I'm saying? I spit whatever. I asked her for her number. She was like, "Damn, you so direct." I said, "What?" She was like, "Yeah,
you didn't understand that.
You just asked me for my number?" Like, I was confused. I was like, "Oh, my bad. I was supposed to ask you for your IG." That's what I was supposed to do.
I was supposed to follow you. Do you want me to follow you? Like,
I was fucked up.
Like,
because
it's weird now.
The crazy shit is, right? Because all of us in here, we from the golden era. If you wasn't outside in the 80s, that's the golden era to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we was the first people to see, they call us Generation X, because they ain't know what the fuck we was going to do. But we was there to see computers and the transition from computers to cell phones and all that other extra shit before it is to what it is now. And it's like, people don't get it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's why this society is so sensitive. Like, everything you say, "Oh, I feel attacked," and all this other shit, and the children feel entitled. We grew up in the golden era, bro. Where you seen somebody, you was like this, "Yo, mom, what's happening?"
Everything now is just handed to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, to me, I don't feel like it's earned anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Everything is just handed to you now. Everybody has it easier now. Like, one thing I want to say, I'll be honest with you, besides like something like this or whatever, it's cool. But if it ever have to be conducted business, I never conduct business through a DM or a text.
What is that?
Because I need to hear your voice. I need to hear your reaction. I'm super old school. You got, matter of fact, let's get back to EP. All these years, ask EP. I barely text this man. I call him, and if I do text him, it's to say he'll tell me, "Yo, I'm gonna call you back." Okay, or call me back as soon as possible. Like, those are my texts. I will not write you a freaking poem on a text. That's just not me. And one thing I don't like about also conducting business, especially when it comes to like in the club scene and with the promoters, like they'll be like, "Yo, text me." No, you call me. Because I want to hear it from you. People tend to take texts wrong. You know, you might write a text wrong. Like, I didn't know about that. If you wrote in caps, that meant you're screaming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking, yo, shout out to my children, man. Shout out to my daughter. Like, if I didn't, my daughter is the one who helps me out and tells me, "Yo, Dad, don't do that. It's wrong." You know,
this is nuts, bro.
Like, it's just crazy. Like, no, I want to hear your voice. Like, ask my wife, bro. Like, the only thing I text my wife is "I love you." I'll keep it real. Everything else, bro, you gotta call me.
Yeah, when you start texting, like, that should be subjective to the point where
Yo, my eyes hurt. I ain't gonna lie, I'm probably old, man. My eyes hurt.
Understand what you texting nowadays? You know what I'm saying?
Right, because some people take your text sometimes out of context.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, no, I'm just that old school. Like, if you want to book me, call me. Let's do it on the phone. You know, like nowadays nobody wants to talk on the phone. Yeah. And you know what? And that's what's bad about life right now. Because if you still have a mother or father who's alive right now, you're telling me you're gonna text your mother and your father every day?
My mama don't do none of that.
And then, but I'm talking about like this new generation now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the kids who are 15, 16 and the parents are probably like 30 something. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have your kids text you all the time. But then when you leave this earth, all I have from you is a text. Think about that. I'm kind of happy that I got to hear my mother's voice. And it was never through a text. Anyway, my mother was funny texting because she was writing words that I didn't even understand. You know what I'm saying? And all that. But it's just how everything is now. It's like everything is just... Technology could be a blessing, but technology could also be a curse.
My brother calls it the microwave era.
Yeah. Facts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.